Hi guys, now there have been some rumours that Nigel Farage will stand down his company Reform UK at the general election to help the Tories like he instructed the Brexit party to in 2019. There are also rumours that the de facto leader of Reform will run for a seat in the election itself. Here he appeared on the pro-Nigel Farage GB News to discuss the calling of the general election and in a similar way to the 2019 vote, made it all about him. Have a listen.
The timing of this general election has quite a lot to do with me. Quite a lot to do with me. He was scared. He'd heard rumours, true or not, he'd heard rumours that I was going to go back into the frontline political fray. And if you gave me a 6-month run against the worst, most insincere Conservative Prime Minister in history, against the most boring House Party guest as leader of the Labour Party. I think Reform was a very big factor in this decision. Reform's problem is a lack of infrastructure on the ground. So I do think that's a major part of the problem. So what the Prime Minister has chosen, suicide over obliteration. They feared, leave it 6 months, it could be 50 seats. It could be the end of the Conservative Party after 200 years as we know it. They are on course to lose the election. They deserve to lose the election. I personally hope they lose the election. I helped them in 2019 more than any other human being. The formation of the Brexit party removed Theresa May.
So that's no commitment either way.
No commitment either way for me at the moment. I will think about it overnight.
Wow.
But I do think, it's funny, I met a cabinet minister at a social event on Monday of this week, and the venom directed towards me was quite extraordinary. The fear was quite extraordinary. They're about to become a losing party. They may, over the next couple of years, become an extinct tribe. I have no love for them. I stood aside for 319 of their candidates. I helped them get an 80-seat majority.
Which did deliver Brexit.
It delivered Brexit, but nothing else. Nothing else. The constitutional change happened. The rest of it was literally betrayal.
So he's back to the old betrayal line once again. Now, is it true that Reform UK was the reason why Rishi Sunak called the election early? I think that played a part, but that wasn't the whole reason. The Tories believe that they can hold on to more seats if they can convince the public that inflation is down, this has been a success, that the economy is out of a recession, this has been a success, and these are all down to Tory policies. Now, of course, they're not, but this is what they're trying to sell to the public. Now, when it comes to Reform UK, I believe they have reached a ceiling. Anyone who has decided to vote for Reform UK is sort of locked in, and anyone who still wants to vote for the Conservatives is locked in as well. I think there's a very small percentage of people who are still willing to flip, either to Reform or to the Conservatives. And there was a recent poll where Reform lost some support, but that support didn't go, or very little of it went to the Conservative Party. So a lot of people may, if they don't vote for Reform, may stay at home. So it's while the Conservatives are trying to sell this idea maybe to the public or to themselves, that, well, if Reform disappeared, if we could work out some deal with Nigel Farage, offer him something, then all of the Reform UK voters will jump back to the Conservatives, because a lot of them left the Conservative Party. I don't buy that for a second, and the polling doesn't match those predictions, those political beliefs. But when it comes to Nigel Farage, is he going to run? I don't think so. Now, at the time of the recording, he was talking about, well, tomorrow I'm going to tell people, I'm going to make a decision. I don't think he will run. Now, I could be proven wrong here, but the only way I think he would run is if there's some safe seat that he's sure that he would win. Now, that would probably require a Conservative standing down. So there are a number of Conservatives who are standing down at the next election. There may be an opening there. The Conservatives might be extremely weak, and it could be possible that Farage could pile a huge amount of resources into that seat, into that candidacy, and perhaps win the seat. But then the problem for Farage is that if he even does win the seat, it would be him on his own. The party is not going to win seats. There's a possibility that Farage could win it if they piled a huge amount of resources. ran a huge campaign on it. But as he pointed out here, and this is the thing about Nigel Farage, he mixes truth with fiction and he sells it as a very convincing package. He's correct. If Reform UK had more time, it would benefit Nigel Farage. But because there are just a few weeks to campaign, it'd be very difficult for him to hit the ground running, select a potential seat, and invest the time and effort into winning that seat. So I think time is against Farage here. I could be wrong. He could claim that he's going to run for a seat and name the seat. It'd be very surprising, but it would have to be a seat where Labour have no chance of winning. The Conservatives probably held on to that seat recently. The MP for that seat is resigning, and the new candidate for the Conservative Party have pretty much no chance. Remember, Reform would have to top the poll. They would have to be in the lead over both the Conservatives and the Labour Party. And remember, if there's a Conservative running against Reform or Reform running against a Conservative, they're going to split the vote. So it would have to be a very, very safe seat for Nigel Farage. Because if he loses a seat again, he's going to be extremely embarrassed. He lost 7 times already. So I don't think he wants to lose again. So if he is going, he will choose a very safe seat. Now, the alternative, of course, is he's just going to campaign for Reform UK. And now that the election is happening in July and not in November or October, it gives him a lot of time to focus on the US elections after the UK elections. So I think he will campaign for Reform UK, but at this moment I don't think he will run as a candidate. Unless, and this is a huge caveat, unless there's some safe seat that he's sure he's going to win. But I can't see anything on the horizon. I've been looking around for a potential safe seat for him, but I can't find anything. Perhaps he has better polling than I have. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.